Mic check exclusive. We got the producer, Pharoah. How you doing, bro?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How you doing yourself, man?
Doing good. So, where the name come from, first of all?
The name, when I first started out producing, I really didn't have a name. I was just going by a nickname that I was given by family members and cousins back in the day. And, I was, the cats that I looked up to, Timbaland and Pharrell and other producers, they had a significant name that stood out. So I just was really just trying to figure out what name can I create for myself that I feel fits me, but also stands out. And I remember I was just having a conversation with a older relative, and and it just went back to where she was just bringing up situations. She was like, no matter what you ever you do, no matter whatever you do in life, just remember you are a king. Just remember that. And it just popped in my head, and it just was just like, you know what, this this pyramid that I'm building, this empire that I'm building, because it didn't start with just beats. Beats was just something I kind of just gradually ended up doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, you know what, I'm building this by myself, brick by brick, and it's like I just feel like this whole collection of things is I am that king of all of that. I am the pharaoh of that, and it's just like, you know what, that just popped in my head, and it was like, that's it. That's
Mm.
it. I want that. I like that. I'm gonna roll with that.
That's what's up. So,
What kind of beats do you do?
Oh man, that's anything. I try to be versatile. That's my main goal. Is to try to be able to not just stick to one genre, to not be boxed in to by any one type of music. I want to be able to say I can produce rap, hip hop, pop, R&B, alternative, whatever. Even if it takes some time to figure out the logistics of it and take some time to actually figure out techniques and things like that, I want to be able to sit down and take the time to actually do that. So, like EDM is the next thing I want to be able to say, okay, I can do that without no help. I can sit there and sit down and produce that all by myself.
That's cool. How long have you been making beats?
10 years. This year will be the 10th year since I was
Goodness.
16.
what is your opinion on the state of business for producing artists right now?
As of right now, there are a lot of producers out there that don't know a lot of the business as far as producer wise. There's a lot of cats out there that music is they're producing, but they're not copyright. Their music is not copywritten. Their name is not copywritten, and they're lacking that business sense. Like as far as me, I have contracts set up for beats, whether you leasing or exclusive. I have that set up. So if a person comes to me for a beat, you gonna have to sign that contract, and you gonna have, this is a business, it's just this part. This is what I'm doing. This is just also another way of protecting my material, also just in case. And now my music is copywritten also before I even actually give it to the artist, just to make sure, because there are people out there that will take a person's beat and put someone else's name on it and say it's theirs just to help their friend out. Because I've seen it happen before, and you hear stories like that. So it's just a knowledge thing also, just to go along with not just knowledge of music, but also knowledge of the business end also for producers.
That's what's up.
Who are your favorite producers?
That's a nice little list. Like I stated before, Timbaland is one guy that I grew up listening to a lot. Pharrell, DJ Toomp, Manny Fresh, DJ Unique, which a lot of people, some people know, some people don't know. He's responsible for all of Bones, like first major. I think all of their albums, to be exact. I'm not sure about the new latest one and the one that's about to come out, but all the first ones, that was all DJ Unique, and that was like all I was listening to when I was growing up. Um, like more of my influences and people that I really grew up listening to came from down south. So Organized Noise, um, more so. Let's say, listen, jump forward some years. Danger Hands is another one. Uh, there's so many. It's it's too many. I probably have to sit down and think like, wait a minute, who else do I like? But those is like some of the main people. Oh, Daft Punk, like that's another influence to me also. And it's just the longevity of how they've been in the game for like almost 20 years. It's just like that's what I want to. That's the level of success as a producer I want to be, and I want to reach, and that's why I want to break the glass ceiling. Taking Kanye and all them other people's names, they look terminology, but break that glass ceiling and that box. Like I don't want to be boxed in. I don't like being boxed in at all. I hate that.
What's the name of your new project?
The latest project, it was the last beat album that I put out on October 15th. It's called Love Me Now or Hate Me Then. That name, it was a weird situation how I came up with the name. At the time, I was creating beats for what I thought was going to be the next project that I put out, which was going to be titled Me Against the World. But when I was creating beats and I was listening to other beats that I previously made, I was just sitting there thinking and just listening. I was like, the vision I have for Me Against the World and these beats are two totally different. They're like in a totally different vibe. The beats that I have now are like of an up-tempo, bounce feel, dance feel. These beats have that bounce, but they're more of a serious type of feel. And it was just like putting these two together just would not sound right. So I separated them. So I had this body of work, and I was just, and actually I didn't even think about putting them together as a body of work until I was just sitting there listening to them one day. And I was listening to them in a sequence, and I was like, wow, you know what? All these together sound good enough to put in an album. Why not? So I put it all together, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, what can I call this? It just wasn't coming to me when I was trying to think of a name, and then I just actually used, like, personal experiences that I was going through at the time to really craft that name of just how I was feeling emotionally towards people and dealing with music and things like that, just how people were acting a certain way towards me and how I was seeing people act to other people also. And it just popped in my head. It's like, you know what? I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, and either you going to love me now or you going to hate me when I get to where I'm going to be, because I'm not stopping. I'm going to get there whether you like it or not. So either you going to ride with me now or you going to hate me when I get there, because I'm not going to talk to you then, because I'm seeing your true color. So it's like, okay, good luck with that. So that's just how that popped up. It was just like, you know what, I'm going to stick with that. Everything I have, most everything I have is that aha moment where it's like, oh, that's it. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that right there. I'm going to rock with that. So that's how most of my stuff comes out.
Cool. Let's hear some stuff, bro.
All right, let's see what we got here. With my R&B type of beats, I didn't want to do the traditional, what you hear now. And I was just thinking, because I like to influence everything I do with my style, basically. So I was just like, you know what? I want certain R&B beats to have a spacey feel to them, and have an instrumentation that sort of reminds you of like Art of Noise. And for a minute, that's kind of what, like, my R&B. That's what I kind of did with my beat projects. Each beat project had an R&B beat that was significant. I would say significant, but a transition from the last one, and they still had that same feel to them. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna still do some other type of R&B, but you know, I'm gonna make this my signature. So each beat project, except for the last one, that didn't have one on it, but each beat project has one of those type of R&B beats on it.
Why did you choose the art of sound for your inspiration?
It was, you know, that one track that they have. It was just the way it was sequenced, and it, like most of my music, has a cinematic feel to it. The way I sequence things and the way I bring certain instruments in on certain tracks, it's sort of sequenced real cinematic, and I like that way they set that up, and it's just how certain things came in at certain points, and it just made the track even more better. So just listening to that, it's just like, you listen to what's out now, and it's more so hip hop influenced R&B, not just regular R&B. And like I said, when I sit down sometimes. I just really just brainstorm, and I just sit there and think, okay, I want to start something. I want to influence others. How can I do that? By doing something that someone else is doing. So let me change the game up a little bit. Let me start something different. So that was my whole thinking of that. But it's like, okay, I'm still going to take influences from previous, because everyone has a teacher, or everyone has someone he looks up to that they take little dabs and little pieces of influence from. And if a person say they don't, that's just blasphemy. I don't understand why they don't actually admit to it. But I just feel like, okay, they influenced me, so I want to take something they influenced me with and create something different and influence somebody else with.
Can we hear another track?
Throw another genre.
Hip hop.
Hip hop, we got a bunch.
What's the title?
We can just go ahead and throw out. I got something in my head right now. Feeling like a winner. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Like when I was creating this beat,
You have to speak loud.
I don't even remember where my mindset was at when I made this beat, but I just know that when I sat down and I finally listened to it, I was like, this is nothing but me, and I was proud of it. And this just goes along with me saying what I said earlier, that how my style is cinematic. And it just felt like this was nothing but me, and this was an embodiment of everything I do, basically.
What about have you ever used live instruments in your compositions before?
I haven't played them, but I recorded. It was in a track I did called Eternal Dreamer. And I had someone actually play like the live snare and hi-hats and things like that. But as far as live for myself, like I can play the piano somewhat, I can read music, I can write it, but I'm not really proficient to where I can just go in and just...
What's your opinion on people thinking that to make music you gotta be able to read music? What's your opinion on that?
You don't need to, because I didn't start reading music till what, a year and a half ago. And like one of my favorite producers he still doesn't know how to read music, and he still bangs out beats like left and right. So I would say that it helps you, but there's not, you don't need to. Because when I was able to read music, I was able to create melodies a little bit more because I knew notes and I knew how to create certain chords. So it helped me with certain melodies, but I was still able to do it before. Before, when I first started making beats, I was making beats off my keyboard, like my literally typing keyboard. I didn't have an actual MIDI keyboard, and I wasn't, I wasn't doing anything until I didn't have a keyboard till 2009.
Wow.
Every beat I made before 2009 was me tapping on X, E, R, C, B, S. That's how I made my beats, because I didn't have a keyboard.
What's your opinion on like software? Like if you use Fruity Loops rather than Pro Tools or Reason or anything like that? What's your opinion on people saying?
Software. See, with me, I started making beats off of PlayStation. That's how I started making my beats. It was an MTV Music Generator. That's how I started making beats. And the weird thing about that is, I never ever even imagined being a producer. My brother just came over my cousin's house one day and he had it, because my brother makes beats also. And I always knew I heard music differently, but I never understood why until he brought that over that day, and I was like a little kid with a new toy. I was just sitting there just watching. I was quiet in the back just watching. And like he came over my house for like 2 weeks, and like I told him to bring it. In a week straight, I banged out 15 beats. I just went in. So like Fruity Loops was the next thing I started with, and a lot of people use it now. Me personally, I don't use it now. I use Machine and I use Reason. I've also played around with Pro Tools and things like that. So to me, it just depends on your preference, basically. Like I said, a lot of people now, they use Fruity Loops. I guess it's just more easy for them. But me, it's just I don't go back to it. Like I said, I stick with Reason, I stick with Machine. Those are the main two I've messed with.
What What are some of the artists that you have produced for that have actually really moved forward in their career?
Well, see, that's another thing. I've been shy about my music for a few years, and I just kind of been in my little cave, just creating and trying to figure out my style. So people would say that that's hindered me because I kept myself from out of the public eye as much as I needed to. But I feel like it helped me because it helped me get to a point to where I can say I have my own style. So there's a short list of people that I've worked with, but I have worked with a nice couple people. As of recently, Bodine just dropped his Bovember 3. I got a joint on there.
What joint is that?
The Drop.
Okay.
Yeah, I produced that. That was actually
That's
on.
one of my favorite songs on the album.
Thank you. That was off of my Red Hood Beat album that I had put out a few years ago. Another up and coming Riley B. I just produced one of the tracks that he put up. That's gonna be on his next tape.
Okay. Yeah, he just announced it when we was interviewing him. He had a tape coming out.
Yeah, I got a joint on there. Trying. It's a couple cats that they're still going. This cat I met, and when I was in school, his name is JC. He goes by Trio now. He just put out a new tape. And I was just thinking about that the other day. How I've seen his growth from when I met him. He self-produces his own stuff. He plays the guitar and everything. And from when I met him to now, I think he's put out like 3 or 4 projects. And that was in 2011, I think. And like I said, I did some work for him, and we collabed on some stuff. It's a guy out in Canada by the name of F. Leo. I produced a track for him, and he just put it on his mixtape he dropped a couple months ago. So it's growing. It's growing.
So where can artists find you to get some beats and stuff like that?
Where they can find me is my website, which would be www.iampharaoh.net. Instagram, Pharaoh's Gram. Twitter, my Twitter's at CrazyTunes, all one word, KRAYZIETUNES. Facebook. Or just, especially I'm being more proactive with actually getting out when I can. So if I'm out and you see me, hit me up. I'm out there. I got business cards on me, so if they need to add the email address or anything like that, slide them that, no problem. I'm out there.
Cool. Shout out Mike Check one time for us, bro.
Shout out to Mike Check for the interview. I appreciate it. It's all good.